This is Cultivate Your Signature. Key number one, discover your gifts and talents. So it's very important that you go through the process of recognizing what you do well, what you seem to be prone to become expert in, so that you know uh, how your gifts and talents will help you with your life assignment. Your life assignment could be that you have a calling to become a teacher or to become a doctor, become a lawyer, um, work with the youth, work with a number of organizations, maybe resolve some issues with cancer, try to find a treatment alternative. Whatever it is, whatever your life assignment is, that means that you're going to have to know what your life assignment is. You're going to have to also know your gifts and talents. And so your gift could be, for me, my gift is teaching, and then the talent is writing. And so then I'm assigned or I'm called to community college students. So I teach first year composition. And then there are other areas of my life where I have struggled and made poor choices, especially in finances. And so I will tailor some of my approaches in terms of the videos I create, the books I write, and sometimes I'll bring some aspects of that missed learning into the classroom. And one of those missed learning opportunities was the 2 year transition planning. And so when you are within the context, you can be in high school, you can be in middle school, you can be in elementary school. When you recognize, you may not necessarily have a full awareness of who you are, but you recognize that you do something well, or you get feedback from people, from your parents, that you do something well. I remember lining up all my dolls and bears, and I will put paper and pen in front of them, and I would teach them something. And I have no idea what I was teaching them, but I was teaching them something. And then I graduated to the little neighborhood kids, and I would march them throughout the neighborhood, and then I would line them up, sit them down in the dirt, put pen and paper in front of them, and teach them something. So I don't know what, again, I don't know what I was teaching them. What this suggests is that there was an indication of who I was going to become um, in my childhood. That's why you see a lot of times the child who is going to become a doctor later in life walking around taking the temperature of her bears, or nurse, um, taking the temperature of her bears, trying to assess the bear's issue, medical issue, even at a very young age. When I recognized the writing, it was in two stages. One, it was when I think we were in high school, ninth grade or something, and we had to go to an assembly and listen to someone speak about something, and then after that, we had to do a quick write up. I noticed then that I had something. I don't know what it is that I noticed, but I noticed that there was an ease in the way that I was writing, that it just came natural to me, or something like that. Then many many years later, when I became an adult and I met a guy, he's the one who actually called attention to my writing. He looked at the grammar aspect of it. He thought it was um, he just saw the skill. So I must have been blind to it all those years until someone came along and pointed it out. So that was two-part discovery, and then of course with the gifts of teaching, the full discovery of that came when I had to be a drop-in tutor. And initially, when I was going to college, I was going for the money. I was going to become a computer science major. And so I didn't have any other, understanding of anything else. And so that's what I was going to do. And then later in college, I decided to tutor, and I was assigned to a classroom where the professor taught, and he was teaching certain ways, and I thought it was very interesting how he was teaching the students. So I just took note of it, regardless of whether or not I thought I was going to become a teacher. And then I would have to meet with the students and discuss their papers or their work or something like that. And I just kind of enjoyed that. It was strange. And then I began to tutor outside of the classroom in the tutoring center, and just it just came natural to me to be able to explain something to someone. And then one day I was actually the only one in the drop-in writing tutoring center, and uh, a student came by, and he had me. He was trying to understand. He was a foreign student, and he was trying to understand a particular concept. It was literary slash political type work, Hannah Arendt, and the title of the work was on totalitarianism. And there was a mention or reference to this ideal, or either it was either actually in the text or in the assignment instructions. But there's the idea was there's a that totalitarianism is a means to an end, and I hadn't read that text because it wasn't necessarily part of my reading list, but I was kind of forced to try to explain what that actually meant. And when I began to explain it, I put it in the context of romantic relationship. I don't know, it just came to me. And I said to the student, what if you had this girl who was interested in you, and I mean, interested in your friend, um, but she went by way of you. She went by way of you, tried to get to know you, act like she was more interested in you. But her goal was to actually get to the end goal of trying to get with your friend. And so she used you as a means to an end. And then I connected it to the totalitarianism with the suggestion that many authoritarian type figures don't always want to use torture, or don't always want to use totalitarianism, or don't always want to use certain types of coercive measures, but they have to use it as a means to an end. And so that gave me an opportunity to discover that talent for sort of explaining something, and getting the student to understand. And he got it. He just got it because he came from a country also where he struggled with that concept of totalitarianism. And then, of course, the romantic relationship and analogy helped him to understand it just as much. So this is Cultivate Your Signature. Key number one: discover your gifts and talents.